While I'm sure I've seen some of these films before, I barely remember anything other than a few scenes here and there. So with a new Transformers movie coming out soon, I wanted to give all these another viewing to become familiar with the story and the world. And while I know these get some criticism for just being a bunch of explosions, I had a blast watching this. Dialogue is definitely not a strength of Michael Bay's, leading to some poorly written moments and some just weird scenes. Our introduction to Sam, his family, and then Michaela was the main moment where it just didn't work for me. It was hard to sit through that part of the story, but other than that, I loved everything about this movie. I had a good idea of what I was getting into, so I wasn't expecting some complex emotional story. I knew it was going to be a lot of action, and I enjoyed that for what it was. All of the visual effects looked great in my opinion for something that came out 15 years ago, and the action was always engaging and beautifully shot. Everything was shot in such a cinematic way, which Bay loves to do, whether it be the action or some sunsets. And the music just adds to all of this. I feel like you have the popular themes and composers when it comes to film scores, but this one always flies under the radar. It's got one of my favorite themes in cinema. It just makes me feel good. Jablonski does an amazing job with each and every piece. Between that and Optimus Prime's speeches, this movie can have me ready to run into a wall. The movie opens up with some very helpful exposition with a voiceover from Prime. A lot of the background information we get in the story really is just from certain characters giving speeches, but it never bothered me all that much. Other than maybe a short moment here or there, I thought it flowed well within the scene, and the information they go through, like what the Autobots are, or what Sector 7 is crucial to understanding the story here. You can enjoy the movie for what it is with just a lot of action, but the second act is heavily carried by being able to understand what's going on, why these robots are here, and why this is all so important. So being able to get some of this information into the audience's head early on really does help being able to understand and enjoy the film as a whole. And it wasn't like it was done in back-to-back scenes either. I thought the overall pacing was done well, with the exposition, action, and then some character and story developments all balanced leading up to the climax. I was surprised at how fast some of the action sequences felt. I think some more time could have been spent on some of them. But when we were first introduced to the Decepticons, the military base, I really liked how they build the tension. It isn't as necessary down the line when we're already aware of the threat they pose, but here I thought it was a really good way to kick off the movie. Like I already said, the first part of Sam's storyline, everything from the class presentation to getting the car to driving Michaela home, it was a little hard to sit through, but there were moments here and there that made it bearable. And I do understand that it was supposed to be uncomfortable, as a part of showing where Sam is at and how he develops somewhat. But I did enjoy how the overarching story connects back to Sam's ancestors from the presentation. It made it so it wasn't a complete throwaway of a scene, and I do love some history connections. The parts of the story that I really enjoyed the most, other than the action of course, was a lot of the government scenes. It would have been nice to follow some of the characters a little more. I actually thought I remembered them having a much bigger role than they did here, but what we did get from them was enjoyable. Glenn and Maggie had some fun moments, and added humor to an otherwise very serious movie, and the defense secretary was always enjoyable to follow, as we see them figure everything out. But to be honest, I was surprised with how attached I grew to Epps and Colonel Williams. We follow them from almost the very beginning of the movie up until the end, and they're just two badass soldiers getting it done, one with a daughter to get home to that he's never met in person. I honestly don't know what it was specifically about them, but there were times when I found myself wanting more of them, and not Sam and Michaela or any of the Autobots. Overall, I really enjoyed this one, much more than I expected. The good and the bad were pretty predictable, but I'm looking forward to getting to the rest of these. I honestly don't remember much, if anything, about the rest of these. I know one has Mark Wahlberg in it, and that's about it, so I'm pretty much going in blind from here on out. Comment down below what you think of the first Transformers movie, and what movie reviews you'd like to see in the future. Remember to like the video, and subscribe for more movie content, and follow me on my various platforms listed in the description. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you again tomorrow.